This is like game show format, so we're going to be looking at some ad creatives and seeing which ones performed best. So I'm going to introduce our contestants one by one and they can come up. So let's start off with David Jumper from Disruptor Beam. Come on up, David. All right, Disruptor Beam is based in Boston. They have some great games like Star Trek, Game of Thrones, Walking Dead. Welcome, David. All right, next up, it'll be Kostyukhina from Supersolid Games. Supersolid's based here in London, and they have some great games like Food Street. You may have played that. Welcome, Ellie. Next up, let's bring up Jay Sarno from Product Madness. Jay is the head of ad creative. You may have seen him earlier today, his fireside chat. Welcome, Jay. He's he's the only head of creative on the board here, so we'll see how he does. Last but not least, Mark Beck from Murka. Come on up, Mark. Mark is based in London. Murka is kind of a worldwide operation these days. You may have played their game Scatter Slots, very, very well-known game. So let's kick it out, like just really quick, brief word about Bidalgo. We're doing really interesting things with artificial intelligence on top of social channels like Facebook, Google, Snapchat, Pinterest, and Apple Search. So all of the outputs of the creative results are based on our technology. So when you see the performance difference from one creative to the next, it's an output of the platform. So it's just important to note for people. Okay, great. So let's jump into the first question. So, all right, so we're going to look at these video creatives one at a time here. Looking at the left creative. This is courtesy of Mr. David Jumper.
Do we know what platform it's on? Facebook?
Oh, we won't really say. All right, now let's look at the one on the right. Okay. Very interesting. Okay, so for our contestants, if you think that the creative on the left performed best, raise your hand now. Nope, nobody? Wow. Okay, so everyone thinks it's the one on the right. Raise your hand if you think it's the one on the right. Oh, wow, the whole room. Wow, incredible. All right, are we ready for the answer? It was the one on the left. Wow, okay, so everybody's 0 for 1 to start. And yeah, like everybody can't believe it, right? Well, we actually have the output from the AI there that shows it. And actually in this example, it's showing you the best performing color palettes across all the creatives. And this one happens to use that third one there on the far right. So 20% higher day 7 ROAS compared to the other examples there.
Well, what was interesting is we were using the other one previously, which Bidalgo had made for us, and did extraordinarily well. And we said, well, what can we do to make it better? And we stripped out the neon lights. And
very interesting. So here's like kind of the counterpart here. The creative AI output actually shows that it was using 2 of the lower performing palettes. So interesting insights there. Let's move on to the second question. So this one is from Supersolid's Food Street. So let's take a look here. All right, so we're going with the one on the right first. Build your dream restaurant. Looks enticing to me. And we have a similar one on the left there, but yeah, very Christmassy version. If you think it's the one on the left is the winner, raise your hand now. We have some people in the audience that believe it's the one on the left. Anyone of our contestants think that the one on the left was the better performer? Nobody. So again, everybody thinks the one on the right? Raise your hand now if you think it's the one on the right. You have to vote.
I'm gonna go left.
Okay, wait. People on the left, raise your hand now. Okay, people on the right? So just Mark on the left? All right, well. It was the one on the left.
Come on, Ellie, what's going on?
Ellie wouldn't vote.
Okay.
Ellie wouldn't vote. Yeah, so just a little snippet from the creative brief on Food Street just shows that, and it's very hard to read, but this had some of the elements that were highly correlated to ROAS in this case, things like celebration and gift. So it's very interesting. The AI actually uses image recognition technology to pull those elements out of the creative.
Could be the seasonality too.
Seasonality. It could have been, based on the time of year that this was running.
To be successful during
yeah, lots of variables. It's hard to isolate. Great. Thanks for that one. All right, so we're on to question 3 now. This is in Mark's wheelhouse for sure. So this is just a static image here. So if you think it's the one on the left, the better performer, raise your hand now. Okay. All right, 3 of the 4. So one on the right. David, this would be you? Okay, so everyone, one on the left, raise your hand. Be decisive, people. Come on. This is a game show. Everyone chose the one on the left. And look at that.
All right.
Everyone was right. Amazing. And, this output shows, not only, 142% higher day 7 ROAS, amazing. It shows that it's using these best performing palettes. But, maybe there's something about it that, something else about it that, yeah.
I think my guess is the number in terms of how much
you think it's the number?
Significantly larger. No, just
you don't think it's the character?
No. The contrast is also super important. As in, like the green is a higher contrast.
Yeah.
Go back.
Okay.
In general, the way I would say it is this is brighter, it catches the eye a little bit better. The numbers are clearer than here, where it's white on grey. This is a little bit clearer here.
Yeah, you actually...
And coins kind of always works.
Coins do work. You might be right. I think we have an example that shows another top-performing palette. Look at that. Yeah. And that has the same format, same number, same palette, different character, also a top performer. All right, let's move on to the next question. This is another one courtesy of Murka. So I believe these were from Fixu. So if you think that it's the creative on the left, raise your hand now decisively. Okay, Ellie. Ellie thinks it's the one on the left. If you think it's the one on the right, Jay, David, and Mark doesn't have a...
I'm on the left.
All right, Mark voted left. All right, let's see what the answer is.
Oh.
Look at that. Nicely done. Those on the right. Look at that. 354% higher conversion rate. Wonderful. All right. The final one from Murka, we're not stacking it too much with Murka here. These are 2 different video creative here. Wow, pretty nice. It's hitting all the high notes for sure. All right. Wow. All right. So it's really a battle of the themes, I would say, in this one. So if you think the cowboy theme was the better performer, raise your hand now for cowboy theme. Who thinks? We have a lot of people. Okay, so Jay and Ellie think it's cowboy, and if you think it's King Kong, raise your hand. David and Mark, very split on this one. Let's see the answer. Cowboy theme won. Look at that, 120% higher conversion rate.
I think it's actually John Wayne. I think it's not just a cowboy theme. It's a licensed...
That's licensed?
Yeah, I think it might be, yeah.
Well, they were both beautiful creatives. All right, so next one up is from our friends at Graham Games, Merge Dragons. So this is actually 3 different creatives with different concepts. So we're going to look at one that's featuring characters, one that's featuring maps, and one that's featuring gameplay. So there's characters, there's maps, and then we have gameplay. So, for our contestants, if you think that Characters was the best performer, raise your hand right now. Nobody thinks it was Characters, all right? If you think it was Maps, raise your hand. Jay thinks it's Maps. All right, so if you think it's Gameplay, and look at that, we have David, Ellie, and Mark are all thinking Gameplay. So let's find out the winner. It was Gameplay. Look at that. 100% higher day 7 ROAS compared to those other two. So it's one of the best practices. Showcase your gameplay. That does tend to work well. Next question. This is from our friends at Pixelberry. Their game Choices. These are always amazing creatives. So the main difference here is a more standard video and then a version that's featuring like a zoomed element. It's always a crowd pleaser, Choices. All right, so let's look at that version of that video with a more like zoomed. Really getting those expressions close up. So for our contestants, if you think that the standard video performed best, raise your hand right now. Mark thinks standard worked well. If you think zoom worked better, raise your hand. So we have everyone, David, Ellie, and Jay think it's zoomed. And sure enough, the zoom element proven to work a lot better. Look at that, 100% higher day 3 ROAS. It's a really early target. So, as we're going to tabulate the score and find out who won, just a few brief takeaways. Okay, very interesting. I have the final scores. But before we go into the final scores, maybe some thoughts from our panel. Like, we have a lot of experience on stage. By the way, didn't call this out in the introductions. Everyone here has a lot of experience in social casino directly. Everyone either worked at Product Madness or Scientific Games in the past. So you guys all have a lot of experience. Like, anything really stand out and surprise you from those results?
I'd say for ad units, let's say video carousel, this never really worked for us for slots for whatever reason. Maybe it was a better format for non-casino, but I don't think it really changed the core ad experience. It just had 4 similar videos next to each other. We never really worked out how to get an ad format that used the ad unit. I think actually Playables is a little bit similar. It kind of naturally goes with casino. You think, you hit spin and it brings a result, but I think you need to have a really good creative idea for the specific ad unit. So for me, video carousel, Playables, they're all pretty, I would have thought they'd be lower performing. Video is kind of where a lot of social casino is coming from, and it's because the slots are reasonably easier to show, I guess, directly. So I think the takeaway, which was zoomed in gameplay, is kind of it works very well for social casino, and it doesn't surprise me that it works for other genres.
Yeah, it makes a lot of sense. Do you agree with that, Jay?
Yeah, I do. I think for the most part for us, since we're dealing with a ton of orientation, like methodology in terms of portrait, squares, or landscape, I think it's really where the ad placement is as far as performance. It could be the same ad, but if it's a different type of dimension and different platform, then it can perform severely better or worse.
Okay, really interesting.
So working in the past in social casino, it was always the blingier ads that always performed best. And moving on to casual restaurant games, I assumed it was going to be different, but instead it's always the blingier ads that perform the best. There's one ad that was made by Bidalgo that was like basically panning for the restaurant, but during the pan it just flashes like these white lens flares like it's a J.J. Abrams movie, and that performed really well. So it just seems like bling is what performs really well.
Interesting.
I think adding on, I would say be wary of assuming causality to your past successes, because what works today will probably fail tomorrow, and then you have to just accept the multivariate testing and just keep going and keep going, especially at the scale that we all operate at. I mean, yeah, really, how many creatives do we have in the wild? I honestly have no idea.
That's great. That's really great insight. I think everyone understands like testing is super important, and it's great to have your company's represented on stage today. So I think like what I'll do is I will announce the winner, and then we can spend a few minutes just in case there's any questions for our panelists. We can cover that. So drum roll, please. All right, it was actually a tie between two people. David Jumper and Ellie, you guys tied for the win.